my name's Liam and this is my Mk2 Golf, a 36-year-old boxy icon that used to be my daily driver that I got when I was 18 until unfortunately someone wrecked it. I was at work one day, I worked till 12 p.m. at night, and as I was locking up, I got a call from one of my co-workers tell me that somebody's messed with my car and it's bad. So quite concerned, I rushed down there. I full sprinted, and when I got there I saw that it was covered, every single panel, in paint stripper. In September, I paid £600 to get my roof painted, and that was looking amazing. It was like glass and they covered it with paint stripper. And as somebody who is a full-time student and only works part-time, having 600 quid just get destroyed within a few months is a pretty big hit. And I didn't know what to do. This car was one of my dream cars, and when I got it, it was everything I could think of. The idea was it was going to be my daily car and I could build on it and slowly make it better and better. And then as I saw this happen, I was pretty shocked. So after going home and talking over with my family and everything, I decided I can't let the car die like that. I can't let that be the way it's sent off. So instead of doing what any normal person would do and just write it off, I decided to put it in a garage for now, and I'm gonna rebuild it. It is going to be show quality. It's going to be an engine swapped, absolute dream. Everything you can imagine doing to it, it's gonna get done. It's going to be slammed. It's gonna get the entire interior done. I'm gonna make this car an absolute beauty. I grew up around cars. My dad is also a petrol head. He loves his cars. He's had so many iconic cars you couldn't even try to count them, from XR2s to MR2s to original minis. He's had them all. But the one car that always stood out to him was his Renault 5 GT Turbo. He's owned a fair few, and the last time he had one, it was in 2009, 2013, and he sold it for various reasons. They're not practical, they're not the best daily drivers. It's French, but he said that's the car that he's always regretted selling, and it's the car that always stood out to him. And about 3 years ago, he decided to buy a new one, and that's actually was right behind me. Believe it or not, this car was bright green, out of a barn that was sitting for about 15 odd years, if not longer, and it needed everything doing to it. It was basically a big hole of rust. The entire car was just rust. These French cars were not made to last, but luckily he knows how to weld, he knows his stuff, and he brought it back. And believe it or not, the 90% of the work that was done was in this small little garage, which just makes it even more impressive. And seeing this, it inspired me, and I was like, once he finished that, I was like, I need my own project car. I've always been into retro cars, but the car that stood out to me was the Mk2 Golf. I thought it was beautiful. I thought that they are so nice, and I wanted one. So when he finished his, he decided to start it with me. I'll buy the car, I'll fund it, it'll be my car, but any time that it needed work doing to it, he would show me how to do it. Obviously, I've done small jobs with him on his Renault 5, but nothing to the point where I essentially have to help with every single job. And the idea was it was going to be my daily car. I would drive it around, do small little jobs and build it up as it went along. The first thing we did before it even went on the road was strip out the engine. He showed me how to do that. One of the first big jobs I did was pulling out an engine. Thankfully, those engines are pretty simple. They don't have a lot going on with them. It's a couple hoses and some leads, you know, it doesn't take a genius to pull one out compared to modern cars, which would require a lot more stress and knowledge. But luckily that was a pretty easy job. And after doing that, we cleaned it all up and got it back on the road. I was daily driving it for a good 9 months. You know, there was a few issues. Some of them were my fault. I decided to change the steering wheel and put a racing steering wheel on. And me and my brother decided to drive to London for something. And obviously I was driving there. It was 130 miles there, 130 miles back, 260 miles round trip in a car that was, you know, not the most reliable, no airbags, nothing. And as I was driving, the bolts that held the steering wheel just kept getting looser and they'd fall out, you know, doing 70 miles an hour down the M1, and you'll see them pop out, just be like, oh shit. Luckily, I had the Allen keys in my car, so I'd be there driving while I was tightening up my steering wheel so it didn't fall off. You know, if they weren't in the car, who knows what would happen. But as soon as I got back from that, I was like, let's get some thread lock on that. That ain't going anywhere now. So that was the idea. I'll just do little jobs to slowly build up the car. So if any of you wondering what the actual plan is, it's essentially strip it, swap it, spray it, which is a gross oversimplification of what's going to happen. But that's basically it. I'm going to strip the car down back to its bare chassis and build it up from there. You know, I want to get every single nut bolt off it, clean them all up, spray them all, make sure that they are shiny and nice. You know, this car was going to start off as a slow build, and maybe in God knows how many years I would have a car that I actually like. Now I'm going to put all of my effort, time, and most likely all my money into this car. And instead of it being a slow progress while it's driving it, it's going to be off the road the entire time in a garage as a bare shell whilst we build it up. So we're going to swap out the 1.3 that is originally in the engine, which is pretty slow. As you can imagine, a 1.3 from 1989 isn't moving fast anytime soon. You know, I think anyone could gap it. I saw some old ladies gapping me. So we're going to get a 1.8 turbo out of an Audi TT, which we already have sourced. Well, we've got the Audi TT, so we'll strip the engine out of that. And we're going to whack that in it. So yeah, it should have a lot more power, you know, going from probably our 50 brake to maybe 250 once it's all, you know, remapped and had God knows what other modifications done to it. You know, we'll get it as an absolute powerful beast. Obviously there's a lot of other things that need doing, and since January, when obviously the car was vandalised and it's been off the road, I've been slowly buying all the parts for it. So I've got the subframes that I need, I've got the correct gearboxes and everything. Yeah, so we've got most of the parts for it. It just means now actually having the time to get started on it. But hopefully soon I'm almost finished with uni and we can just spend most of the summer doing it. And you know, it might take a while, you know, I'm not expecting it to happen overnight, and this will be a long process, but in the end it will be an absolutely incredible car. It's gonna look amazing, it's gonna sound amazing, it's going to take off like an absolute rocket, and we're gonna take it to the ring. It's going to go to the Nürburgring, it will make it. You know, I will drag it there if I have to, but we're gonna get that car to the Nürburgring and we're gonna full send it around that. So, you know, it should be a fun journey. And yeah, me and my dad are looking forward to it, and if any of you are that interested, you know, this won't be a tutorial. We aren't mechanics, neither of us are mechanics. My dad, even though he has a great knowledge of cars, especially if somebody who's not a mechanic isn't a mechanic, this will just be two people figuring it out as it goes along, and mainly my dad teaching me what needs to be done and how to do it. And it should just be an interesting journey. And you know, we're gonna make this car from a wreck to the ring.